Okay, this is day 364, and this is part one. And people ask me, oh, we're coming up on a year. How is this going to change? And what are you going to do for an encore sort of thing? And I think it's going to be around presentation. I think the amount of evidence is truly Mount Everest like. So gathering more evidence probably won't be my focus. It will probably be filling in the timeline. This is something that Lee Stranahan told me to do in April, and I never got around to doing it. Probably I've tried several times to find timeline software that I liked. This one's called Time Toast. And I kind of like this Time Toast. It seems very simple in the way I wanted it to be laid out. And so basically, I'm just going to take screenshots and storyboards that you're already familiar with, and people know the whole story. This is the external server board. This is the CDW Hawkshead, John Wilkes Booth. This is John Wilkes Booth. So people know these the credit union fraud, and they know them by sight. So you'll still have, for the people who have been watching, you'll still have that visual cue. But then there will be these supporting stories along the way, so that will help people who are just coming into the story. And that's mainly for the senators and the congressmen and the journalists that are writing about this story, just so they realize it's very grounded and it's very well laid out in terms of timeline and so forth. So an example would be February the 15th, let's say the day after Valentine's Day. We're going to hammer that down when we know exactly what day, but this is when Imran orders the 150 iPhones to go to the Hawkshead location. We also have people in the family, in Imran's family, saying these are being sent to Pakistan. So we need to confirm that. We need to confirm all these stories and drill down on all the things that are reported publicly. That's the key here, right, is drill down. If Luke mentions a person in the article, get the person's picture. Once you get the person's picture, try to get an interview, a long format interview. So that's the general strategy, is keep moving toward details, keep moving toward proof, much like we did with Taggart, much like we did with Laura Everly. Have people back as many times as necessary. This is all the process of basically prosecuting a case or being an inspector general. You'll notice a new thing here, which is the inspector general. The inspector general of the House of Representatives is the official title. It's actually vacant right now, so if you want a job, maybe I should put my resume in for it. If someone knows who the person was that was the inspector general last summer, that would be very interesting. I searched and searched and couldn't find it. So, but if the flow goes, here's the illegal purchases, things are being sent out of the country, that triggers an investigation, that triggers the looking at this caucus server. Oh, by the way, Joe Crowley runs the Democratic caucus. So even though it's in Becerra's office, Joe Crowley actually runs that. The guy where we were doing the looking up in Queens in his district a couple of days ago. So there's the 5,100 logins. There's also in September, that starts in April. In September of last year, right before the election, there's the credit union probe where a person named Abid, we've still never seen Abid's picture. I believe Abid is really a Wan Brothers ID. I believe Abid has been this kind of punching bag, throwaway name that Imran uses every time he gets in trouble. If you remember, there was a couple of drunk driving convictions of Abid right before Imran is supposed to join the House of Representatives, or at least before the fake employee is supposed to join the House of Representatives. But we'll see. We'll see if there is a real Abid or not. I don't believe Luke has really ever published a true picture of Jamal or Abid. Same way with other people, Galani and Kristal Pepignon, and so forth. I always believe Pat Sauer was real, so that's the idea, is keep pushing these people toward the limelight, toward real interviews, okay? That's the idea. The 20 burglaries then occur after the election, is the night of the election. They lead up, everyone's shocked, of course, that Hillary loses, but the day of the inauguration is when you have to make a decision. Is Trump going to arrest us or not? That's when I think the 20 burglaries happened. Remember, the person who has the office where the server is is leaving to go to California within 4 days. He signs in, swears in. Becerra signs in as the California Attorney General 4 days later. So I believe that the server was still there. The false image was given to the Capitol Police to let him get out of Dodge. That's what I believe happened. Crowley said, "Hey, get out of Dodge, get out of here. This thing's coming down." I believe also this House Inspector General was let go, or the person moved on to other places. It'd be interesting to see who that House Inspector General is, because that's obviously a person I want to interview and get their picture out there and so forth. So the server, I believe, gets moved to the Hawkshead location. We'll see if that's true or not. We'll see if there was another server already at the Hawkshead location. We'll see if there's 2 servers. We'll see if there's a server somewhere else. Maybe the sprayer house, maybe the Navy Yard. We don't know yet. The police reports will tell us all. Okay, we obviously need to get those police reports published. Imran Awan is banned from the House network right after this occurs. And then the illegal network access, where his backpack is seized. We find the hard drives are in there. We find this book that says attorney-client privilege. I believe it's all the senators and congressmen's passwords and password accounts and email accounts. That's what I believe is in the book. The defense certainly wants it back. Steve Gowan certainly wants it back as much as he can. So there you have that famous April 6th event. And then, you know, this is where you start realizing, hey, wait a minute, I'm in this movie. You know, I go to the 4 days later, I go to the Hawkshead home and I find the government laptops, the government Blackberries, and the government hard drives that are pried. And I need to include myself in the timeline. I never have done that before, but actually I'm in this movie. So and later on with the uranium and so forth, it looks like with that investigation moving forward, looks like I'm going to be in that movie as well, and it looks like these 2 movies are really one movie. We're not there yet. People don't see that connection yet, but we're getting there. So this is just a test case. People like this format. I'm going to start moving to this format away from the bigger, older slides type format, because really I think we have enough evidence, just mountains of evidence, 7 Gutenberg Bibles of links and so forth, enough to drown any Senate investigation committee. What we need now to work on is presentation. I was a little bit down last night, after working all day long until late in the evening, trying to get a hold of a senator to look at this, thinking maybe we'll do a work around the House and we'll go to the Senate side. But I did see 8 senators, and I did, make eye contact and, ask for a question for 8 senators. So I did the good work. But I later then went and talked to 4 or 5 different legislative assistants last night for different House members. Oops, excuse me. One of them being, it just died. So we're going to end it right there. I'll just say that I did talk to Duncan Hunter's legislative assistant, and also Marty Raskin, so in Maryland. So every day we just keep making progress. There's Florida 13. I can't remember Florida 13. I talked to that legislative assistant, and then a couple of other states I can't remember right now. So anyway, sorry about this blank snowscape here at the end, but you can see I need to cut it down, the presentation. Too much memory in the computer.